Hey, good morning. Today is February 20th, 2018. My name is Jeff Fritz. Welcome back to the live stream. I've got I've got a good stream ahead of us today. I'm really looking forward to this because I think it's the next step in this project we've been doing to build tools for streamers, and we've built a couple of UI widgets to this point, and I wanted to bring in somebody who could help me build a bot, something to help with moderation and some of the things that we've been running into, some of the challenges that we have going back and forth between Mixer and Twitch and wanting to have a unified moderation experience. So, my guest today is good friend Rich Ross. Hey, Rich, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
So, why don't you give folks the quick rundown of who you are?
Sure. So I also work with Jeff at Microsoft. I am part of the Microsoft Technology Centers, and there's about 14 of us across the United States, close to 50 of us around the world. But what we do is allow customers to come in and help us basically help they explain their problems, and we work with them to kind of get them on that digital transformation path. So we have the opportunity to go very deep on a topic with them, but also because we understand the entire breadth of Microsoft solutions, we're able to actually talk to them about how we can help meet their needs across the various applications and solutions that we offer. So it's a great place to come in and have customers come through and talk about what they're looking for and get some really immersive, awesome, life-changing experiences out here.
So it's a bit of consulting. It's a bit of showing the portfolio. We look at all the cool things we have, and then pointing them in the right direction so they can make good decisions going forward.
Absolutely, and there's always some great cutting edge use cases out here to kind of show what's up and coming and maybe things they haven't even thought of doing yet. So it's a great place to come and check it out if you're near one.
Absolutely. So, and to be clear, we're near one here in the Philadelphia region. And
Yeah, so we have.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, we have one here in Malvern, so just outside of Philadelphia, just to the west. I guess what, like 15, 20 miles.
Yeah, and hop, skip, and a jump from King of Prussia if you know where the gigantic mall is there. So, all right. So speaking of things that folks haven't thought of and they want help building, I need help building a bot. I want to. You're right. You've been in the chat room once or twice here on stream. I want to. I always run into this where the bot over moderates on Twitch, and it
Hmm.
censors people who post a hyperlink. And then on the flip side, I don't have any moderation on Mixer, and there
Right.
I don't see a good service out there that will moderate across all services like we're doing, broadcasting to all services. So I was talking to you offline, and before this, hey, I need help with this, and it sounds like you've got some good ideas that can help.
Yeah, so one of the things that we can talk about is the cognitive services. And Microsoft has a list of about close to 30 cognitive services. That list tends to change as things get in and out of preview and get combined and things of that nature. But if you go out to Microsoft.com/cognitive, you'll be able to go out there and see all of the various services that are available from a list perspective. And there's certainly one that would be really important for what we're talking about doing here, which is content moderation. And what that will do is essentially take a string of text that comes in through chat and be able to classify it, whether it has essentially adult content in it, or words that we shouldn't be using in a chat room that's supposed to be family friendly. So
Oh yeah.
it'll flag those. And what we could do from the Twitch side is maybe send I think we were talking about maybe sending a whisper to kind of say, hey, this kind of came over and was flagged, so it doesn't go out to the regular chat window, and then from there you can decide whether it goes in or not.
Very cool idea. So before and I want to make sure I look at the cognitive services page here. I forgot to mention our hats today.
Oh,
So I'm of course wearing my Agents of Shield hat because I don't know about you, Rich, but I made it out to go see Black Panther this weekend, and awesome movie. Really enjoyed it. Totally recommend it for anybody. You don't need to see Marvel movies ahead of time or any of those comic book movies. It is a comic book movie. A king, a fabled country that doesn't really exist in Africa, but really neat movie that's more of a political discussion than a comic book movie. Really neat. How about you, Rich? What's the hat you've got there?
So my hat is from Washington College.
Mm.
I did not get to see the Black Panther movie. We've done a good bit of traveling around trying to get the final look at colleges for my daughter. She is in the last she's doing the acceptance tour. So she's been accepted to Washington. She's doing it as a tour to trying to find out if that's where she wants to go or not.
Mm.
But it's a beautiful college down there in Chestertown, Maryland.
Okay.
So about 70 miles from here. So nice and close. And I'm hopeful that's where she's going. That's why I have the hat.
I'm terrified of my kids starting to look at colleges. Dear Lord, they're just into their teens. I don't even want to think about that.
No, you got to think about driving first.
Shut up. All right, I wanted to look at cognitive services here, so I'm going to change views here so we can take a look. So, all right, here we have the cognitive services page from Microsoft.com, and there's stuff in here about vision and speech and searching, language. So, and you were saying there was one of the features here we could latch on to and take advantage of.
Yeah, so in the cognitive services page, let's see, I'm trying to pull that up here as well so I can get to it and kind of hit it in real time where you are. There is, if you look at those services, you're going to see there's a ability to get to, they have them kind of spelled out for you for vision and speech and things of that nature. So they're easy to quickly navigate through and take a look around to see what's there. The one that we're going to want to look at is the one under, let's see real quick. There we go, under, you see that, here we go, under, that's text analytics, go ahead.
Which one? Text analytics.
Oh, sorry, no, under vision, the first one there, it says content moderator, actually second one down.
Oh, there we go, content moderator. Yeah, okay, yep. Automated image, text, and video moderation, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not looking for image moderation because nobody can post images really in.
Right.
Let's see. Text moderation helps you detect potential profanity in more than 100 languages and match text against your custom lists automatically. Content moderator checks for possible personally identifiable information. That PII stuff.
Yep.
All right.
So that's one of the cool things about these services is that you have the ability to go ahead and pull a common API that you might go to, but then depending on if you want to check an image versus checking text versus checking video, that depends what content you push up there, and it can, kind of morph to come up from that same service basically.
Oh, okay. So I can send to the same service images or video or text, and it'll resolve and tell me yes or no. It's legit's a bad word. A bad
acceptable.
Descriptor. Yeah, acceptable. Yeah. There we go.
There you go. No, there's different methods to do that, just to be clear, but it's the same. The base URL is the same.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking, and we've got to kind of sketch out where this is going to live inside of the tool that we're building. And you've seen a little bit of the stream tools that I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to build something that's going to connect to Twitch and Mixer, and is going to listen for these messages and then act appropriately on them. I'd love for it to be in a Docker container. Should we put it as another background service in our existing container, or should we stand up a separate container that is, well, if we put it as another background service in the same container, then you could stand up multiple copies of it and activate or deactivate features appropriately. What do you think?
Yeah, that would give you that good flexibility then. Then it's not just relying on, I guess, environment variables to push into the container to figure out which services are running for that session.
Right. I would be able to see everything all in one location, one application. Okay, so let's start there. Okay, stream video moderation, Janescu 7 is saying. Well, that's what we're trying to do.
Unless he hasn't, is that a service that already exists?
Well, so Nightbot is out there, but it only connects to Twitch, and it does feel a little bit heavy-handed at times. And this is another one of these things where, I don't know about you, Rich, but I feel like we have all the pieces to build it. I'd love to learn more about it by building my own.
Sure.
So, All right, I'm going to go over to Visual Studio and we can start pulling some of these pieces together. I think that's where we want to go first.
Yeah.
So let me share my Visual Studio with you. Now I have Visual Studio Live Share installed here. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to give Rich my link over to Visual Studio Live Share so we can click that and attach in, and we'll be looking at the same code, both Rich remotely and me as a host here. And then we'll figure out what services we want to add, and we'll stand up the appropriate cognitive services as well. Ooh, did the light just turn out in your room?
Yeah, I didn't move around. You know, it's one of those motion sensor lights. So every 10 minutes, I got to get up and do something.
Oh, that's neat. All right. Let's see. What do we have?
So this is my first time using live code. We've installed everything. So I'm hanging out waiting for you to get a link over, right?
So I dropped a link in the Skype instant message for you. There you go. Look at that, friends. I'm behind the scenes. I'm using Skype. Skype for regular people, not Skype for business or Skype for anything else. Thank you, Mr. Byte TV, for the follow. I appreciate that. We've crossed 900 folks on the follower count, almost to 1,000, and we'll hit that helpme.net call-in show when we get there.
So this is one of the things by being on this side of the mic. I don't hear Steve when you get followers.
Oh man. All right, I need to figure out how to get the sounds back down Skype. We will work that out. When you get connected, I'll see a little thing pop up here on the screen that shows. There it is. I see. Double R. All right, fantastic. So now you can see my code, and we can write code together, and we can just in general cause problems.
Yes.
So I was talking to the VS Live Share team about some of the things that we've demoed here on stream, and folks on the team were thrilled with how the viewers received and commented on how the live share went the other day, and I know we're gonna have a great time using it here again today. So. Is there a NuGet package already out there that I can use to bring in and kind of stand up some of the services for this?
So there is a way to do that if you're doing so you should be able to get a .NET package for that.
Fantastic. So I'm
going
to
go cognitive services.
I'm going to go manage NuGet packages on my Streamlabs project here. It looks like we've got a couple updates to our Twitch libraries. I'll come back to that. So it's probably something cognitive, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up real quick.
There's Lewis. I don't think we're going to use Lewis. Lewis yet. Microsoft Azure Management Cognitive Services. That's probably it. Oh, here we go. Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. Face, Vision. Pardon me. All right, hang on. Let's go.
Yeah, Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services. And then in there's a language and a text analytics one, which is the one that we're going to be looking at.
All right. Search, Fluent. Which one is it? Is it the language APIs?
Hang on one sec. Let me just get the... And let's see. Come on. Good old browser.
And in the chat room, there are a couple commands out there for Nightbot, but they're not very... I've tried to figure out what would be good commands for you to send over to a bot, and it feels lame setting those up. Where what I think we can do with some of the things that we have over here in Cognitive Services is we can actually structure and point it to a question and answer page and let it parse exactly what it's doing. So, so what we're working on, the title is actually pretty accurate today. We're going to be doing, we're going to be setting up a chatbot. We're going to build a chatbot that's going to run. It's going to run in It's going to run in C#, and we'll have it connect at first to what's it called? To Twitch, and then we'll set it up to connect to Mixer later. All right, we want to grab the content moderator one. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I pasted those in the link there.
Fantastic. So I'm going to click the install button. We'll get that added into the C# project. Installing. Yes, I accept. Don't take my children. There's install things going on behind my head. Looks good. All right. So now we've got the cognitive services deal. Now I feel like I should create another service in my project that's just for the bot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I think so.
Another I-hosted service. So if I do this, I'm going to create this, and I'm just going to call it bot service. And then you should start to get that content posted over to you, right? And I think these implement from, yeah, I-hosted service, so that we can register them in the background. All right, and then I need to implement my interface. So I have an ability now to start and stop the service. Cool. And you should be able to follow me and get into the code at this point, right? I'm looking for your little cursor flag to pop up here.
Yeah, I don't see the bot service yet listed in services, but
now they were telling me that there's a refresh button somewhere.
there's refresh at the top. Let's see what that does. That does not seem to make a difference.
Oh, denied. Let's do this. I'm going to click somewhere else, click back in, and see if you click, there's a follow button next to me on the sharing area. There's a way to like pin me.
Yeah.
If you click that, does it take you in?
It took me to, your bot service .async. Yep. Okay.
All right.
And I see your little flag cursor.
So click in there somewhere so we can see your flag pop up. There we are. There's where Rich is. Terrific. All right.
Cool.
So I already have some stuff configured in my Twitch service to do the connection to Twitch. So I'm just going to grab that block of code, and then we'll start working out how we're going to connect over and validating some of the text there. So I'm going to stash a copy of the configuration using an iconfig. And so let me do that. iConfiguration config. So this is the configuration that ASP.NET Core captures for us. And I'm going to keep a copy of that locally. I'll create a property called, easy for me to type, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Equals config, and then I'll just control dot on that and generate the read-only property. So now I've got the configuration laying around. It wouldn't hurt to have a logger, would it?
No, definitely not. Especially if you're looking at, seeing the text that came through and making sure that it's made the right decisions and it caught everything.
Oh yeah. So let's do this, and I will just steal that code. Copy paste inheritance. Love it. All right. And Brendan's teasing us. He's going to run the whole app in debug mode too. We are not. All right. So now I have a logger, and I don't want it under stream services. Let's call it bot service. All right. So then there was a little bit of configuration to, where's that start Twitch monitoring? Here it is. So this is how it was connecting to the API and listening for followers. Now we have a slightly different API we need to connect to in order to get, in order to connect and listen for messages in the chat room. But I am going to steal a little bit of this. Actually, I don't think I can steal any of it. Because I'm going to create a client. So let's do this. I'm going to put in my start async let's call it connect to Twitch, and we'll figure out how to resync this later.
Okay.
And this needs to return a task. So what do I return out of this? Do I make this async and return a task? I don't know. We'll think about it. All right, so I was looking at, check this out. So our friends that wrote the Twitch lib library that we're using, one of the things right on the front of the project GitHub page here, right in the README, it's actually the first sample that they have here is how to connect and start listening for messages. So I'm actually gonna steal that a little bit, and I'm just gonna copy that code and copy it in here. Now my client that I'm actually listening with, I feel like this should be hanging as a class scope variable, right? So that it's sticking around. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm going to say this dot, and let's call it underscore client. And actually, let's get rid of that. Let's do this. I'm going to F2 on this thing. What do you mean I can't rename it? All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Alt down. Nope.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's Alt.
Well, Alt moves it. I want to do a replace.
Yeah, but if you Alt and do the mouse key down, or the arrow down.
That's it. And then I can underscore. Ha-ha!
There you go.
Oh, no,
Love that one.
I didn't grab the C's. Let me do that one also. All right. How cool is that? Alt, I get confused on it sometimes. Alt and then drag the mouse and it'll draw a box.
Yeah, but you can also use Alt and the mouse and the arrow keys as a way to do that as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
This way you keep your hands on the keyboard.
Let's see. Comment in the chat room. Why not use expression body syntax for those getter only properties? Well, I'm just setting it up. I'm storing a local copy of it. I mean, I could make it a field.
Yeah.
You know, could be whatever. Whichever way works best for you. This is the way I'm deciding to use it. I'll replace these with my username and access token in just a second. I want to generate this as a field because I want it to be private. Twitch client, I should be able to control dot. Yep, there's my Twitch lib. And then these other things here, I don't know if I want to do anything with the join channel event yet. Message received is when it sees a message in the chat room. Whisper received is when you whisper to something and when somebody subscribes. I'm not doing anything with subscribers right now. Go away.
Right. Although we could block them or something like that in the future, right?
We could, sure.
Not saying we should. I'm just saying if you think about how you might want to expand this out for what you're doing.
Sure. The channel to join here is going to be, right, if I look over here on my Twitch service, and I'm going to grab, where's the channel? This one. That's not a bad idea. Just create a property that returns it. Excuse me. And stash that there. And then I can just make this channel. And then once I finish connecting this username, I will pass it off to you and we'll figure out what to do with these on message received here. The user ID, that's what I want. This one. So I'll just store a copy of that. And then the last one I need is the chat ID, which I believe I've stored in my user secrets here. I've placed a copy of my client, my chat token, right there. So I will call this chat token, and I will replace this with chat token. And I've still got some figure out what to do here because it needs to return a task. I'm gonna cheat. All right, so this needs to be channel ID, which is effectively the same.
Yep.
And then this is my OAuth token, chat token. Now, because I showed my chat token there, I'm going to go back up here and go to Twitch OAuth token, and I'm going to regenerate a token here off screen so folks can't see it. There's Steve. Shmuley's now following us. So I am just copying off a brand new OAuth token and putting it into my user secrets because stupid me showed it. That's a bad idea to show on stream, you know what I mean?
Yep. We'll have to keep that in mind when we use the other set of tokens we're going to get as part of this too.
So I actually have a plugin that our friends on the Azure Cloud Developer team wrote that actually blurs the screen wherever there's a token that Azure shows you. I could do
awesome.
task.complete task. All right, fine. Let's do that. There we go. All right. All right, so I've connected. I'm should be now listening when Connect to Twitch is done, and I'll be raising events when there's a whisper received or a message received. So, last thing that I think we want to look at before I let you go to it is there's our chat messages we'll be receiving. What's a chat message look like?
Yeah.
So we can see, is it me? I don't care about that, right? We can say, so if it's not me, if it's, and then we can just look at the messages. That just a text message? It's a string. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. I can't see so you dotted into that.
Right. You can't see my IntelliSense, but you can control dot on it and see it on your side.
Oh, if I put the cursor in the right place.
Yeah, I see Brendan saying a no peeking screen in OBS so that folks can't see some of those things. Yeah, you're right. I could do something like that. I should probably do something like that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the screen in half here. Thank you for the follow, Funk Dev and Shmuley, Mr. Byte TV this morning. Appreciate you joining us. I'm going to just have the stop async kill the client while I have you up there on the chat message. So I want to say client, is there a dispose? I'll do a disconnect. So that goes away, and then return task dot completed task. Fantastic. All right. So now on your side of the world.
Yeah.
So we're going to receive chat messages, and we probably want to start analyzing them.
Yeah.
But
So
go ahead.
it's very so. I'm kind of watching the playback a little bit as well. So I'm seeing the IntelliSense show up in the playback, but I am seeing nothing here locally. For what it's worth.
What do you mean you're not seeing anything? Like, I can see you typing.
Yep, I can type and I can do chat message, but I don't get anything with the dot. So I don't get any count. I got a little flashing light at the beginning. What does this guy say? Light bulbs, potential fixes. No, that's not it.
While you're looking to the folks in the chat room, I did host the ASP.NET Core live stream workshop. That was on Friday. You can find the video on demand for that on both the Twitch and Mixer video on demand libraries. I am not cross-posting that to YouTube because I want to be able to run other workshops in the future. All right. It's not giving you the autocomplete.
It is not.
Okay, that's weird.
Very. Should I pop out and come back in? Is there another?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's stop sharing and then reshare and see. And I wonder if something happened where the NuGet package didn't get synced.
It's possible. Yeah. Well, then if that's the case, then I should be able to do, something simple like string dot. I don't see anything on string.
Really? Well, if I do int dot, it doesn't do anything. String dot, yeah, you should get the other stuff popping up.
Yeah. All right. It's best to come out and come back.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to do the leave collaboration session, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
then you should be able to click the link and jump back in.
Back over to Skype.
And Brendan, you're right. That video will stick around for 30 days. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, I was going to preamble while this comes back in, but basically what we want to do is we're going to take that text or a string of text that we get, and we're going to create a couple of objects in there to kind of help moderate the content or basically to give us a helper to take that text string and go over and talk to content moderator.
Gotcha.
You can do that with the .NET code with the SDK and the NuGet packages. That works, but it's also meant to be just a REST call, so you don't have to be in .NET. Anything else outside of that, you can just basically make a classic standard REST call and get the information over there.
It's a simple HTTP request. Set it up to, and that's why it's so portable to be able to reuse these clients.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't we? You know what? I'm thinking out loud. We should probably have a configure Azure client that happens when we start asynchronously up here.
Okay.
Right? We want to make sure that we're connected to that. I'm just going to generate that method.
And what do you, so
Right.
in that Azure client, there's nothing, I mean, I think that's what we're going to do on the moderator side of things. It's because all your, so what I was planning to do was create essentially like a moderator helper, and that helper has the methods and the information it needs to connect to the content moderator
fantastic.
services.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of where you were going there.
So you want to inject another class that just does the moderation.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. So I will get rid of this. And we can get rid of that statement there.
Okay.
Now, why am I getting that? Cool. All right. How's it working? Are you getting the autocompletes?
Nope. Same boat. All right. Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah, because we were getting it the other day on the service.
All right. Hang on. Likely causing disabling.
Is there something in my configuration? User account, flag visibility on hover or activity. You know what? I want that to always be visible. Connection mode, auto, yeah. Join debug session option. Okay. Launch browser on debug, sure. Share web app on debug, okay.
Yep. So I'm doing one more. I'm shutting down all the Visual Studio instances I have just to be sure.
Oh, okay.
I'll go once more.
A couple comments in the chat room. I'm just going to reflect on while you're going there. I see code. That's right, Bizarrest. We're writing a lot of code today. The hat makes me think of the Allied Forces faction from the Command and Conquer games. No, yes. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not, as Brendan said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Typo. What IDE are we using? This is Visual Studio 2017. This is the preview release, which is free for anybody to download and try out. We've particularly got installed a feature called Visual Studio Live Share that we're using, where you'll be able to see Rich typing and interacting with my code at the same time I'm interacting with it. So, and that feature is also available on Visual Studio Code. That's in a very early private preview for both services, and you're able to connect either Visual Studio to the other and collaborate, pair program, and work together on this. Is it coming now?
Negative.
Oh, man. It's all my fault. I wonder...
Let me just make sure.
Oh, that's going to feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything. That is bizarre. Right. I booted everything, too.
Okay. What
are you thinking?
I don't know. Because that kind of hamstrings you there a little bit, doesn't it?
A little bit. We're back to the old way of doing it. Yeah.
Either that or... Are you in full Visual Studio or are you in Visual Studio Code?
I'm in full Visual Studio Preview Edition.
You said you had installed it also for Visual Studio Code.
I did.
Do you want to try Code?
Sure.
Shane seemed to have, and Julie seemed to have better, even though they were on a Mac, seemed to have a better experience with that on Visual Studio Code, and John had similar problems on full Visual Studio. Like I said, folks who are out there watching, this is really early alpha stuff that we're trying with the live share to make this work. So we're finding issues as we're going along.
So is there a different link, or
nope, same link?
Okay.
So when you're in code, you should be able to, or when you click the link, you should be able to choose which one of the Visual Studios to open. Yes, live share is still in preview.
Yeah, it doesn't give me a choice. Oh, wait a minute. That does. No. Down here it does. There we go. So the pop-up says go to Visual Studio. In the bottom here, we can do code. So we're doing that.
All right. Folks are saying the Restream chat seems to be like 5 minutes behind. No, it's not that far behind.
Oy.
And I did remember to turn on closed captioning today.
Well, that's good.
I know, right? I rounded up. No, I saw it at the exact same time in both my Twitch.
Developers,
God Mode Online 21. Welcome. All right. Did it get you back in on Visual Studio Code?
It did not. Yeah. So apparently there is a. I'm looking at the instructions here. There's a down at the bottom. You're able to basically. Here we go. That's Team Services. I'm looking at the banner at the bottom that should give you the connection information, basically, in code.
Mm.
It keeps wanting to open in Studio.
The folks are asking about the closed captioning. That's a feature inside of OBS that is experimental, and it bounces the captions off of, where is it? I'm going to bring up the feature real quick. It uses Microsoft Speech to Text, and it looks like they've done zero tuning on it to get it functioning one way or another. So no, nothing.
Sorry, man. This is.
It was working so well last week.
I know.
We've broken it.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing the. So apparently, there's in the. If you look at the Visual Studio Code, there's supposed to be little icons that show you and sharing and share out. And I don't see those anywhere on here.
Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. So that it appears... That's not it. Those are really old screenshots.
No.
And I think you need to... They have a GitHub set up.
Mm-hmm. Microsoft Docs Live Share, that one?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm looking at the manual way of getting in there. Trying to find the link. I had it open. Yeah, there we go. I don't see a screenshot of it. So, yeah, it should be the latest Visual Studio Code. That's the one I'm looking at, just so you have.
Yep, that's the same place I am. All right. All right. Hey, look, and they've even got a link to my workshop.
Nice.
Okay. So it's not working for you in code, and we can't get the code complete in VS 2017 preview.
Correct.
Is it?
Would mean connecting, but you want me to totally shut down and come back?
Sure. Let's try that.
I mean, I'm up for options, but that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, let's give it one more shot.
Okay. I'll call you when I'm back.
Oh, you want to completely disconnect Skype? No, leave that on.
Okay.
Visual Studio Code. Is it only enabled in Visual Studio Code? Pinning at collaborators. Edit. Collaborative debugging. Sharing a local server. Co-editing. Some. I mean, this isn't a complicated project, so.
No, definitely. I mean, it's something we could do in code, so it's not that big a deal.
Right. Don't have any servers shared. Let me click back over here. As long as you have the extension installed for Visual Studio Code, the icons show up in the bottom left. The Skype notification sound is coming through the stream. I don't have the Skype notifications were coming through from from Rich, sending me text messages.
Oh.
So, no worries there. That's kind of to be expected. I don't need this one open. The one thing that we did see last week was when I created new files, it was kind of wonky to get it to resync and connect and deliver that file as it's created to the guest.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, live share. Right? Do you see the icons on Visual Studio Code?
I do not. That's the. Oh, wait a minute. What's this one? No, it's feedback. No, that's the thing. I don't see any of the icons on this one, whereas I do at least see them on the Visual Studio one.
I think you've broken it.
I have. I'm good at that.
So there should be a sign-in or... all right, we don't have the share button. Joining, here we go. Click the invite link, open the invite link in the browser, sign in from your IDE editor. Okay.
Let me see if I do that.
In VS Code, you can click the Sign In Session State status bar item after signing in and click Join Collaboration Session. Oh, in the chat room, the extension that I'm using to show the contents of the GitHub here, this is, I believe it's called OctoGit. Octotree, there it is. And that shows you the little file structure here for GitHub when you're connected to it. Things break when, even after we tech check stuff. Isn't it great?
Oh, it's fun. All right. No, I'm seeing nothing in Studio Code or in code as well after redoing it. I don't even see the options in the, see how you got the little palette that comes down in the command palette?
Yeah.
I don't even see typing in for those.
Did you install the extension?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not popping up. Rats. All right, well, let's go back to full Visual Studio, I guess. We'll try using that as best we can.
Okay.
All right. and I'll help along the way. It's not to be expected. It's unprofessional to have video on demand with notification sounds when you can easily disable them. It makes people check their notifications because they think it's for them. Sorry you feel that way. That's the way that that's the way that that's running right now. All right. Let's see. So,
so I'm joining back in,
Cool.
and we'll try and muddle through just creating some of the things we need. You're at least able to see the code that I make it. I will, it's funny how much we get attached to IntelliSense, but we'll. I think you see it on your end though, right? Even when I started to do it.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't see the IntelliSense drop down when you started using it.
Oh, okay.
I could make it appear on my own side.
Right. And let's see, collaboration.
There you go. I see you connected again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you were suggesting that we should receive some sort of message handler to handle those things.
Yes. Yeah. So what I plan to do is we're going to create a separate class that will take care of the helping of all of those methods and where we put our URL or subscription key, all those great things. And then from here, when we get the on message received, we're just going to basically instantiate that object and call that out and passing in our string that we get off of the message.
Okay. So should I add the message handler as in something that's being input here on bot service on the constructor? Right, if we have it injected into us.
Oh, that would be, yeah, okay, that would work.
So I'll receive a message handler, and I'll just call it message handler, and I'll store it in a property so that you can access it. There you go. And I'll just create that as a read-only property, and we'll figure out what a message handler is later.
Okay. That sounds fine.
Cool.
So whatever's calling this is going to know how to pull them in. Okay, that makes sense. Because then, yeah, okay, I can see that.
Right. So now, on a message received, we want to inspect that message. Right. We want to pass it over to the message handler, let it do its thing, and then do something based on what the message handler decides. Right.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Okay.
Developers.
Thanks for the follow, Ultimo Razio. Appreciate that.
Okay. Do you have I mean, just looking at your set of tools inside of here,
yep.
Is there a good place to put, I guess, under services?
Right.
Well,
so
this is where we are now under bot service. But
right. So when I did a control dot on that message handler object, and it actually created a message handler class for me in the services folder. And you don't see that class file, do you?
I do not. You can tell by the look on my face, right?
Oh, yeah. So I clicked into it. If you try and do that
yep.
follow on me and see if it pops it open for you.
Yep. So now I have that here. Okay.
Interesting like that, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So we do that. So we're going to need to, we're going to need some properties in here. Okay.
It didn't do the
nope.
The snippet expansion for you.
It did not.
I thought it would do that locally for you. Wow. All right.
That's okay.
I'm going to take some notes here so we can pass some feedback back. I didn't want Paint. I wanted Notepad. Now it opened Paint. Now I feel bad. There we go.
So we're just going to put a placeholder in for a couple things here. Private.
So, all right, so Azure Cog Served URL, that's the Azure Cognitive Services URL we're going to connect to.
Yep, and we'll show where we get that from in a little bit. So we're just kind of setting some things up. And the other thing we have in here is the key, because every cognitive services you connect to has essentially a subscription key that you would use to include, and that is used for to identify who's calling it, but then it's also used to be able to put some rate limits around it. So depending on, you'll see when we go through and actually register the service or sign up for the service, you have some various thresholds you can do. There are some developer type free levels, and then there are some more advanced paid subscriptions that get you essentially more calls per minute or more calls per month or what have you, depending on the type of service. Each one of them kind of meters them a little differently.
Gotcha. Okay.
So let's see. So if I do, if I say,
all right, so you're creating a content moderator client.
Yep.
I'll control dot on that and get you the IntelliSense, the using statement for that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And once I have that in here.
So the content moderator client, this is the thing that's going to actually review the text that's being passed in.
Yes. So this essentially understands how to talk to those services. So
okay.
We're basically just going to have this set up a new really put my typing skills to the test.
Oh, and it's not, it won't even give you the IntelliSense to complete that.
I got nothing.
Oh, man. All right. So when you create a content moderator client, what do you need to pass into it? Credentials, it says there.
Exactly. So we need to pass in the app key service client credentials. So it's going to create that object based off of this content moderator subscription key that we're going to pass into it. So I'm going to let me finish. You might see this from the IntelliSense coming up at client credentials, and then we're just going to pass in the content. Did I paste that? Yeah, content moderator subscription key. Close that off and then hit that.
And let me do a control period on that API key. Get a using statement for us. Now wait a sec, content moderator client, I've still got an underline. Oh, you know what? It wants us to use a var. Fine.
Okay.
It's a editor config thing.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
Good. Save. All right. So now we're creating a new client.
And then we're basically going to assign the base URL. Now, what'll happen is, and you'll see this as we go through and do the creation of the cognitive services key over in Azure. When you say I want a new content moderator key, it basically says, well, what region you want to have that key for. For those who don't know, just a little background on the Azure side of things. Azure has about 40 regions around the world that we've announced. I think 37 of them last count are actively live, and the other 5 are on their announced but are not fully available yet. Exactly. Yeah. So all of those regions are places where you can create content and have it live inside of the Azure environment. And there are inside of the US, we have out here on the East Coast, we've got an East US and East US 2, and then on the West Coast, we've got a West and a West US 2, and then a couple of North and South environments as well in the central area. So kind of get that ability to spread out the workloads that you might have and get them as close to the customers that you're building your applications for.
Okay.
So when you define and say I want to create that new content moderator key, it asks you what region. So that's why the base URL is going to be different, because one of the first pieces in there is that region name for the base URL.
Okay.
And you'll see that when we go over in the other
so
in Azure.
I'm going to need to pass in. Well, you're receiving Azure Cog Service URL. That's going to be a configuration item here that we should probably pass in.
I would
to
agree.
the application. So here's what I'm going to do. While you're down there, I'm just going to add a quick constructor here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to receive the configuration. And I'm going to stash that here locally. Now, configuration. There it goes. And I'm going to autocomplete configuration. Oh, give me a second here. I'm going to format and clean up our tabs.
Cool.
You're missing an N on return there, buddy.
Uh,
All right, this dot configuration equals configuration. Doing the whole dependency injection deal. That's a read-only property. All right, so we should our Azure Cognitive Services URL. We probably want to create some place in our configuration for that to live. So I'm going to open app settings JSON. I'm going to put it side by side so that I can take a look at this while you're over here working. Now, we have stream services, follower goal, logging. I'm going to add a new section, I think. Let's call this Azure Services. And we need a Cognitive Services URL.
mm-hmm.
All right, and that's going to live somewhere. We'll figure out where that is later. And we need a Content Moderator subkey. All right. So now I can reference those in configuration by just walking down Azure Services, Cognitive Services, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to create a private string here, and I'm actually going to steal your property name there, so you don't have to change any of your code. And I'll write a quick get statement, return configuration, and then it's down Azure Services, Cognitive Services URL. So now I'll be able to get that value and return it.
Right, and then we're going to do this. That same thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I'll
So
get
just
rid
helping
of
out where I can.
Absolutely. I'll get rid of the extra one up there. Let's scroll over so folks can see what you're typing. Yep, Azure Services. Da, da, da. Question in the chat room, why configurations and not options? I could turn on word wrap. I prefer not to have word wrap. It's easier to scroll. That's just the way I like. Cognitive service. Hang on, you've got way too many things there. It's just content moderator subkey.
Well, I was trying to match, you had Cognitive Services URL, so I was trying to keep the naming consistent, but there we can get rid of that. Yeah, I guess in theory you could say Azure Services, Cognitive Services, and then, Services URL, but we're not gonna restructure the whole.
Nah, no need to. So,
missing.
and then I will just do a quick format. All right. So the question in the chat room is why not use options? So you would use the options object if you wanted to strongly type your configuration, and in this case, we're still building this. We're still defining what all these things are. So I think for me, it's easier to just have these magic strings laying out here for right now. We could certainly create a strongly typed Azure Services configuration and pass that around and add the different objects to it as we're going. But for right now, just to get something working, I'm just going to, let's just put the strings in here. We'll refactor later into a strongly typed configuration object. So, all right. So now we have a way to pass in the URL and the subkey, and you're using it to connect here and just return the client. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to need to register the message handler with the startup class so that we have that living out there. So I'm going to go into configure services because I've moved things out of my startup configure services because there's so much we need to configure over here. And I have an execute that says, here's all the things I need to configure right now. And it's actually a little bit of a mess. if you ask me. There's a lot going on here. But I do things like configure streaming services and pass all the configuration over there to do that. I am going to... let's do this. Let's... What?
I'm just going to follow you to see where you are. That's all.
Okay. Folks at Microsoft who do things like manage, the power bill and those types of things.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sitting in a room for a little bit, 10 minutes and not moving because you're writing code. I want to create another one here called Configure Azure Services. Configure Azure Services, and I'll put the message handler in that.
Okay.
So I'm just going to generate this extension method. Come on now. Control dot. It won't. So I've lost my control dot here. Oh, feels bad. Private static void configure Azure Services. This service collection services. There we go. All right, we're actually going to start moderating content here in just a minute. This has all been yak shaving at this point.
Yep.
What should the scope be on this? I feel like, so our bot service, we've got to also register our bot service. You know what, maybe this should be bot services. Let's do that.
Yeah, that feels better.
Because then I can put it all in one place. So let's see. Okay. The bot service is going to be sticking around for a really long time, so I feel like the Azure service should be a single. The message handler should be a singleton. What do you think?
Yep, that makes sense.
All right. So, and then that. So then I need to do the, where is it? I need to configure, the iHosted service and the iStream service. I don't need iStream service. I need iHosted service for the bot service. So I'm going to create a new service. So let's just say services at singleton. Spilled Milk Com. Thanks for the follow. New bot service as I hosted service. Right now, what that does is I need to actually create it and spin up everything. All right, hang on. var bot service equals, and I'm going to need to do this so that I can get, I can get my logger factory. Oh man. New bot service. And then I'm going to pass in my configuration, which I should have available to me, right? No. I need to pass that in here as well. Alright, hang on. Scroll up here, over to there. So now I've got that coming in over here. I can pass that in to my bot service. My logger factory is just logger factory. And then my message handler is going to be services dot get service. No. Provider dot get service. There we go. Message handler. All right. So now I've got a message handler that's being passed in. My bot service is created. So I can now say, add that as a singleton.
Yep.
Rats. I want the lowercase one. Right, so now it's creating. So what we've done is we've gone and resolved all of our things, created a new bot service, and we're passing that in. So it's created as a singleton, and we created it as an iHosted service so that it's hosted as a background thread as the ASP.NET Core is running. All right. So now we've got a message handler, we've got a bot service that's starting, so I'll go back to message handler, and you can start managing that a little bit there. Oh, Chris, thank you for hosting us over there. I appreciate that. Meat Popsicle says in the chat room, would the Azure cost potentially be a concern here if you need to process each chat message? It looks like it would be $1 for 1,000 messages. It could add up quick for an active chat room. You're correct. It could add up quickly. There are ways to negotiate that down, to use a more professional service where that cost goes down significantly. But here's the thing, but in my chat service, my chat rooms, according to statistics on Twitch and Mixer, I get about 200 messages over 2 hours. So that's about 100 messages an hour. So for 100 messages, it's going to cost, for 1,000 messages, that's going to be 5 streams. That's roughly 2 weeks of streaming. So it's going to cost me $2 a month. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So,
yeah, definitely reasonable.
Yeah, I think. Joe Bun is saying I could just add singleton bot service. I could do that. Yep. I can't exactly pass the cost down to the user yet. We'll figure that out later. For right now, let's just see how we can build this thing. All right, so this object, this message handler is creating a new client, so it knows how to connect to the moderator. How do we actually moderate messages?
So moderating messages comes down to when we get the on message received, we're actually going to call that client or the content moderator object, instantiate the new client, and then be able to pass in the text of the message to send over to the service.
Okay, so let me go. So I'm going to go over to the bot service, and I guess I should create a new moderator client up at the top here, in my bot service constructor or in my start.
In your bot service constructor, so it's up there, yeah.
Okay, so well, either there or
or the start.
Yeah, I think we're good on start. Yeah. So let's say this dot. I'll call it moderator equals message handler dot, not configuration, new client. There we go. And I'll just control dot moderator so that I get let's create that as a field. I don't want to expose that. All right, so on message received down here. So I've now got this moderator hanging out there.
Right. So one comment around doing it that way is that your moderator is going to be up the whole time. Your object is going to be there the whole time, basically. And typically you kind of dispose of it like in a using.
Around each oh, I see where you're going. And so create it on each new
on
request.
Each time the message gets received, yeah.
Oh, okay. So here's what I'll do then. I will cut that from there. And I will create a new one on each new message received.
Yep.
And you're saying we should do that as a using statement so it's properly disposed of.
Yeah.
Now, then I'm going to get rid of this moderator property.
Yep. And we'll just var it as a client or whatever in the bottom.
I'll come back here. Var. All right, client sounds fine. I can work with that. So then inside my using statement here, I can do something. Gosh, I should be able to just say client dot. Is there a moderator or something in here?
Under text, so text moderation.
Oh, look at that, text moderation. Okay.
So you can say that.
Look at that. So I can say, what is screen text?
So that's what you're doing. You're screening the text. So,
okay.
And then if you think so we haven't seen what happens on the I'm basically like the test harness for the content moderator, but there are a couple of values that you would basically putting into that screen text piece. So you define the English, or you define the language, which in this case is
English.
Just ENG, not the EN or anything like that. So
okay.
And then that it's
Content
text.
type. Yep.
Yeah. And then whatever
And then the text.
Exactly.
All right. So I will say e dot. So I'll get the chat message that was raised by the event.
Yep.
And I will get. Oh, look at that. There was bot username. Look at that.
Yeah, you could check the username and see if it is offensive, right?
Well, no.
But
That's coming from Twitch, is the bot username.
Oh, okay.
Let me come back to that. So I want to say, where's the actual, there's the message. Now what's noisy? It's an enum. I don't know what that is. The raw IRC message. Let's just grab the message and send it off for right now, just to see what happens. And then I should be able to say, I should be able to just say logger dot, let's log information of, I'll get the value back, right? Screened value equals. Okay, so I've now captured the value. So I should be able to then to say, where did my logger go? Yeah, logger. Haha. And then say log information. And then I want to see what it logged. Auto-corrected text, normalized text, original text, PII. Is it privacy information? No doxing. You should probably check the username to see if it's your bot name so you don't moderate your moderation. Okay, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like that.
Sure. So I'll just do a quick check on that. If e.chatmessage. Well, is me, right?
Right.
Or e.chatmessage is the broadcaster, right? Don't moderate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was the other one? Bot username? Nah, I don't care about the usernames. If it's the broadcaster, if it's me, we'll look into some of those other ones later. But if it is those, return no need to moderate. Don't moderate. Ugh. These folks. All right. So what else? What other properties do we have here? Auto-corrected text, language, misrepresentation, status, terms, tracking ID. So what's status? Description, code. So how do we tell if it's profane or something?
So you should get a. That's a good question. So in the object that comes back, and granted, I'm remembering off of the JSON side of it, but you should essentially get something that says review recommended, and that should be true or false. And the reason is that the way they kind of position the if you look at all of this content moderator cognitive service, there is the the machine learning AI side of it, which is what we're talking about here, and being able to pull back the basically give a string of text to the AI and say, what do you think of this? But as you're kind of alluding to with what we're doing on the Whisper side, is there's also some kind of a human intervention that needs to take place as well. So there's another piece to this. So this is moderation we're doing here. There's also a review section that can kind of look at it and say what got flagged and did it really need to get flagged. I think that's kind of overkill for what we're doing here, because it's
sure, we can get into that later, right?
Yeah,
that's definitely an advanced feature.
Yep. So that some of those values that you come back with, and that's why it says review recommended, is okay. The bot or the AI felt there was an issue, and somebody needs to take a look at this. And then inside of that control around with that bot with the AI that looked at it, some of the things that come back in there, it actually should list categories.
Yeah, I think that was under. Did I see? Well, not terms. There was status, descriptions, codes.
Yeah.
Normalized text, original text.
Yeah. So not under status, there should be up above that. So you should see one that says classification.
Yep.
Under classification should be review recommended, right?
Hey, there we go. Okay. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Adult score, offensive score, racy score.
Yep. Oh, so okay. So in the JSON, for those who are doing it via REST call versus the object model,
Yeah.
in the REST call, they actually spell them out, those same three things, as categories: category 1, category 2, category 3,
Okay.
where category 1 represents presence of language that might be sexually explicit, and then category 2 is sexually suggestive or mature, and then category 3 is offensive, like profane language. So each one of those is going to come back with a percentage score. And then from that, you can make a determination on, well, okay, you can check the review recommended value was true. Well, which one of these three, met the bar for being true?
Okay. So I'm going to just capture the offensive score for just to log the information and see what it comes back with. So
Yeah.
this is a double coming back. So let's just say, let's go like this, and we'll say offense. Actually, we should say message. Yeah, right. And then the message is e.message chat message dot
Message.
Was it message?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
literally from the line above. Yep.
Oh, of course. All right. So screen value classification, offensive score. Yeah. And we're gonna need a quote at the end of that and a semi. Cool. All right. So we're not taking any actions on it yet. Right now, we're just going to log information about what's been said. So we've written all this code, and now we can actually start listening to what's going on inside the Twitch chat room.
Right.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I've already created a branch here inside my my local Git repository called FeatureBot, and PoshGit decided to fill the entire screen. Thanks so much. Let's add these new features because I want to kind of draw a line here. Here's what we've built.
Right.
All right, there's the bot service. Fritz, stream tools. No, not app settings. I don't want that yet. Services and the message handler. All right. Started configuration of cognitive services. It's there hiding behind my head. There we go. All right. I'm going to push that up. Yeah. I always do that. Push that up so folks can see that, hey, we started work on this. It's going to be interesting to see how I test this. Oh, it's going to be very interesting to see how we test this. Actually, so Rich, thinking out loud,
Yeah.
how we unit test this. There's, I think at some level, we'll want to be able to pull out the message handler and kind of put in like a fake message handler that knows how to reject things.
Yes. Yeah, I think that would make sense. So what would it be rejecting? It wouldn't, like, if it's not text, or is it?
Well, we would drop in a message handler because when we unit test, we want to pull Azure as a dependency out, and we want to be able to force, here's the response that Azure gives you, right? With a fake Azure, right? A mock Azure. I mock you, Azure. Don't tell Scott Guthrie I said that I mocked Azure. Don't do that.
No.
That's bad. All right. So I've created all these things. I actually need a service over here. So I'm here on my Azure portal. I need to create a cognitive service for this.
Okay. And this is where I'm going to follow a little behind where you are, because I'm catching the live stream a little bit late. But so if you go into your Azure environment.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to delete this one that just so I can recreate it, because I want folks to see how I created it. Account has been deleted successfully. It was. That was quick. All right, so I've searched for cognitive, and it found cognitive services, and I clicked the add button up top here, and I want to find I don't see it. What's it called?
Content moderator?
There it is, content moderator. It auto-completed and found it for me, so I'm going to click that one, and I'm going to choose this thing. Yeah, okay, that's what it does. We already know what it does. Give me one. I'll click create. Give it a name. I'll call it Fritz Stream. Sure, that looks like a good subscription. I want it in the East because that's where I am.
Yep.
Eldorian, thank you so much for the subscription. I'm going to go with the free 1 call per second, even though I know the folks in the chat room are going to give more than 1 call per second.
Oh, they're going to hammer this thing.
Shut up. Fine, I'll go to 10 calls per second. Resource group. Let's use an existing one. I believe I have one here for the stream. Or maybe I don't. Holy crow. I don't. All right, we'll create a new one. Fritz Stream. Yes, please pin it to the dashboard. Create that thing. You know, this is something I've been thinking about, not with the analytics service. What? What have you been thinking about? Cool. Deployment succeeded. Here it is. Congratulations, your keys are ready. I feel like I just got keys made at Home Depot.
Yes.
Grab your keys. Every call to the Content Moderator APIs requires a subscription key. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that my Azure portal masks are turned on because I should be able to navigate into this and it blurs it for me using this cool add-on that my friends on the Azure team built. So I'm going to click on keys and it should, hey, look, they're blurred. Haha, you can't see them. So I'm going to click copy on this one. I can't see them either. And I'm going to put that into my secrets for this. So I'm just going to move this somewhere else so that I can paste that. Right, that was what I copied out of there. That was my key for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to click Manage User Secrets over here. And, oh shoot, I don't have that app settings section copied into my user secrets. I'm going to copy down the Azure Services bit here. All right. And put that Cognitive Moderator subkey is what I'm replacing with what I copied out there.
Yep.
All right. And then the last one is the Cognitive Services URL. This bit that goes right there. I'm going to grab that from, is that this one? East US API Cognitive Microsoft Com.
Yep, just to the Microsoft.com. You don't need the Content Moderator because we're using the Content Moderator object, so it's going to go from there.
So I'm going to right-click and copy.
And actually, you don't need the HTTPS as well. It's just the straight the domain.
The domain?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Because we're in the object. Yeah.
So that's not something that is a secret. So I'm just going to paste that here into my app settings. It's the moderator subkey that is a secret. Look at those lights again. All right. So you put your keys into a JSON file and then add that to your .ignore file. Spilled milk in the chat room. Well, there's a feature with ASP.NET Core called User Secrets that actually stores that JSON file, which is a copy of this app settings, outside of this folder so it doesn't accidentally get committed to GitHub. So this way, I don't accidentally share them with everybody.
Yep.
By, like, you know, hosting a live stream with the video of it. Is that is that Microsoft's version of a fitness tracker, Rich? Keep waving your arms.
Yes, it's one of those good work practices, right? Get up every 15 minutes and wander around.
Yeah, right. All right. So I think so I've copied in those features. Right, I've copied in those keys. I think we're ready to test this.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't have any user interface except for the log messages. So we'll start this running on the command line. I'll choose the Stream Tools run option here so that it runs in a console window. It'll bring up a browser, but I don't care about the browser. I care about seeing that log information come into this.
So you're going to see log information coming into what you're logging there locally, but you're also going to see out on the Azure portal, you're going to see the calls and the errors and things that happen out in that environment as well.
So I've messed up my user secrets here. Hang on, I've done a bad thing.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I can also one of the things that Jeff set was the the usage, how many calls can you make per second, essentially. And one of the other things to keep in mind is that there is an upper limit on the size of the message. We're not checking for that yet, but one of those things that we probably should, include in the code that we have here. So you are only allowed to have 1024 characters in a message that you send in. If it's more than that, then the service basically shuts it back to you. Yeah.
We don't want that. All right, so
Nope.
now it should be listening out here. All right, so there's my stream services running. Cool. And it looks like it's sitting there. So if somebody posts a message into the Twitch chat, we should see it pop up here with some moderation information. And standby reloading, wrote boo, and I don't see any information coming back. Did my bot service actually get launched and go down and start moderating? I'm going to put a breakpoint here. So the client should be connected. Right? If the bot service, if it started properly.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to put some breakpoints around here just to... All right. I don't see any new messages coming out here. So let me shut this down.
So is anybody putting anything in Twitch?
Well, standby reloading wrote boo, but I want to make sure it almost looks like bot service didn't start up properly here. So let me restart this one more time. Judgment Day is inevitable, modbot. All right, so the bot service, the constructor fired. It didn't start. I shouldn't have to say start.
No.
Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. Connect to Twitch. It's down here. So it did its client connect. All right. So it started. All right. So if I... Right, on message received, it should... Right? This is a test. Nope. Did you actually join a channel? I thought that's what this does. Let's go back to the source code that was provided to us. Here for getting started. So new Twitch client on joined channel. Send a message. I don't want to do that. On message channel on Whispered on new subscriber. It looks like I don't have to do anything else. It's just joined. I'm gonna click right, stream services information. Right, there's my fake service still running in the background. It's not actually processing that it received a message. All right, let's restart this again. And when it gets to that client connect, I'm going to step through it and I want to take a look at what the client looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So interesting. Every time you do that, I get in a browser opening up with localhost.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Okay, that is pretty awesome.
That's the live share. Maybe you should send a message on join.
Oh, okay.
Let you know you actually connected. That's not a bad idea. I'm going to step into that. Oh, shoot. Function key, F11. Okay. So now I'm going to go into my immediate window. If I say client, right? Send message. Here I am to save the day. Mighty bot. And it didn't get into the room. Looking at the Twitch chat, I don't see it. So, you know what? It might be in the wrong channel. Client joined channels in my immediate window. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Client dot joined channels. 0. Now, when I say new Twitch client and I give it the channel name, you'd think it would join it.
Yeah.
String channel. C# Fritz. Okay, so now if I look at join to channels, aha, it found one. So it didn't join it automatically. Let's see. Joe Bun says, don't think you can send messages when not logged in with OAuth. Well, I'm not actually. So the chat token is an OAuth token, and you just saw it there. Rats. I'm going to need to regenerate that again. Let me see. So I should now be able to, right, I should be able to go, and that didn't send it to the channel. I think he's just reading. Well, I should be able to send messages. Client dot, do I have to go through joined channels? Channel dot, well, what's under channel? Right? I mean, so I've got the 0 width is a specific channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So handle message. Ooh, look at that. Previous message. But I right? Rats. I should be able to just say client send message. And that didn't go anywhere. Oh no! Just what that super new IRC thing. Yes. So I tried to have it, right? The Twitch client. Right, this should have joined, right? There's my credentials, there's my channel, C# Fritz. Did I see joined channel 0.channel? Alright, hang on. 0.channel. And that is a string. Argument out of range. Hello? Okay, look, I'm no longer on the channel. Whoa. Join channel, C# Fritz. To get it to join my channel. And it's not there. Interesting. Right? I mean, why am I not on a channel? Am I even connected anymore? Get the joined channel.
We have to be connected because you're getting announcements and things of that nature, right?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm not. I'm in debug and I'm at a breakpoint right here. Right. If I let that go, I'm at the completed task. One or more errors. The operation is timed out. Well, that explains that. Which means also I may need to I may need to have reconnects firing here. Oh no. All right. So there, I don't need this. I know it's being constructed. I don't need that. Right, so here we are. So I should be able to add a watch for that. Now open this up. So look, joined channels 0 is connected false. So I'm not connected. Oh, because I didn't step through yet. Okay, so even though I told it to connect, it's not connected.
But this is the same way you connected in some of the other stuff, right?
No, I used a different API.
Oh. All right. So yeah, this one's specifically to Twitch, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the question is the connect async? I don't think it is. So let's look at that API. It's just returning a void. So, no. Not coon. There we go. Yeah, connect is... There is an on-connected event handler. Let's throw that out there and at least log some information to see, to let folks know that, hey, we're connected. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's fine. This dot logger log information. We're connected to Twitch. Okay. There was, I think there was also an on connect error. Yeah. So down here, let's say this dot logger dot log error, because that's a problem. Problem connecting to Twitch for the bot. All right, now let's see what happens. Yep. So folks are saying, oh, you should hook up the on connection error also. Yes, yes, I did. I like that idea. You can never log too much information. All right, so there's my information being output. I should see it break as it hits the breakpoint for that. Oh no, I took out the client connect. Well, I should see one of these log informations dump out. I should see one of them. Or I won't see any of them. I don't see any log information being written out. Right, I had a breakpoint here. Let me put one there and there. So the Twitch lib library isn't behaving for us today. All right, so there's the client connect. Go. So I would expect it to hit either the connected or the error, and it didn't land on either.
Huh.
Okay, now I feel bad. Now it's like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Because after I call client connect, right, I mean, let's do this. Stop. Let's say log information. Client is connected. We should see it hit that and something happen. I'm going to put a breakpoint down there and let this fly again and see what's going on. Because this, right, we're just having a problem connecting to Twitch at this point using our library. Maybe I need to get an update on the library. Maybe there's an update that I'm missing.
That's possible. Yeah, if there's one that's breaking it, yeah.
Right.
But
okay, so I'm down to here. I should have gotten the client is connected. False. So even though I told it to connect, I got false. Which tells me, I bet you that's not configured right. Oh, somebody was telling me channel ID is not necessarily C# Fritz. But there's like there's something in dev mode for what the channel ID is. Twitch channel ID. I think we saw this. How do I find my unique Twitch channel ID?
Oh, this is going back to the beginning.
Yeah. I need my Twitch ID for creating a small Twitch bot. Remember not to show the token to anybody. Thanks.
Developers.
Chat OAuth password generator. To revoke access. Alright, so I'm going to need to move this and go grab this information somewhere else. But I thought this was the OAuth token that I'm generating. Let's see what that generates. Yeah, that's an OAuth token. So that's the OAuth password. Nickname. Yeah, what's the channel?
Somebody's posted it.
My channel ID. Now, where did you get that channel ID, Fossils? Oh, and there's Twilio. Thank you, Twilio, for following us. So, yeah, Fossils, where's that channel number come from? Get channel ID. Where did that come from? Fossils is a hacker. Ah, well, that explains everything. And the lights went out on Rich again. Channels. Okay. Get channel by ID. Gets a specified channel object. Alright, I am... Fossils Pwns Twitch. Ah, I see. That's how this works. I have a Chrome extension from the creator of TwitchLib that lets me put in your channel name and gives me the ID. Alright. I will take your word on that. So I'm going to come up here to channel ID, and for the purposes of this... Wow, thank you so much, Wyron. Thank you for the follow. I'm going to hard code in that number for right now. That was 96909. 659. Now, where would mere mortals get that number from? Alexa, turn on the lights. Yeah. All right, so let's try that one more time and see if that works. But yeah, Fossils, where the API? Yeah. Ah, there's our friend Brent. Thanks for the follow, Brent. Let's see if this pops up. We get... I want to hit this breakpoint and see that my client is connected. The Twitch API will give that to you. Nope, client's still not connected.
Is there anything you can do with that number aside if you don't have the token?
So even though I told it to connect, it didn't actually. It's not actually dropping anything out there for me.
We're hitting the breakpoint, so we're at least calling it.
Right. It called connect, but it returned false. Client is connected false, and it didn't hit one of these other ones when it's trying to connect. So where I have a bot that uses ASP.NET Core and TwitchLib, it's working fine. Really? So, right? I mean, that should be my syntax. Well, you know what? I wonder. One thing to get channel ID stored as if the channel name change, you can still hook up with channel ID and update channel name in your DB. Okay. I click that regenerate thing again, and let me copy in my new OAuth token. Hang on. Nope, not that. One second while I go and grab a new token here. Because I clicked the regenerate button. So... As of September 17, Twitch requires you log into IRC using an OAuth token instead of your plain text password hash. Right. Use this tool to generate OAuth token to authenticate with Twitch IRC. The entire presented token can be substituted for your old password in your Twitch IRC client. All right. So I'm going to get, and I've got a new token there. I'm not going to generate that token anymore. And I'm going to manage my user secrets, and I'm going to drop it in there. Okay. Close that. I'm going to stop my service. All right. Now let me move my doodad back up here. All right. If you search what channel you connect, should it be the channel name and pick that channel ID? There is a scope called chat login that probably has to be enabled when I generate the OAuth token. Let me go back over to this. Twitch OAuth token. So when I go through the OAuth token generator, list of available scopes doesn't actually exist. Justin TV, deprecated. Nice. Twitch developer website. Here's a URL that allows you to enable scopes. TwitchTokenGenerator.com. Ooh, I'm here to get a bot chat token. Look at this. Yes, authorize me. Look at that. All right, I need to do that somewhere else on another screen. Oh my gosh. I need to regenerate those tokens. And it won't let me regenerate. Alright, so I have an access token and a refresh token, so I need the access token. You'll be prompted by Twitch to authorize your account in the selected scopes. Yeah. Chat login, channel feed read, no. I want chat login and I want chat... Yes, generate token. And I'm waiting for the token to regenerate. So, oops. I think I broke it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's down. I literally broke the website.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there, now it's back. All right.
Okay.
I crashed it. What can I tell you? All right, so now I have an access token. Why won't it let me copy? You can paste the accompanying refresh token down here to perform a refresh request. I just want to copy out the token, but it won't let me copy. To use this tool, select the scopes you want and click Generate Token. You will be prompted by Twitch to authorize your account. Upon authorization, your access token will be placed in the text box that says token will appear here. Yeah. And I just want to... Okay, so now I've got an access token, but it won't let me copy it. What am I supposed to... no. Something's fishy about this. What are the folks saying there in the chat room? Because this does not make sense to me. I'm using Twitch Token Generator, enable the chat login scope, then regenerate. I tried that, and it won't let me copy out the token that's listed here. Yeah. That's... Okay, this feels dumb, and I don't get it. I'm just going to use F12 tools to copy out that token, and I'm going to paste it into my secrets instead of that OAuth chat token. Yeah. There we go. All right. And I would have never found that information without anybody telling me that. Yes, it blocked the cursor, so it doesn't let you copy it out. No, it wouldn't let me drag the mouse over it and copy it either. All right.
No, it's pretty. I'm trying to do the same thing over here. It's really bizarre.
So, oh, you know what it might be? I'm not using Chrome.
I'm using Chrome. It didn't make a difference.
Okay. So let's see if that connects. Am I using Edge? No, Firefox. All right.
Actually, so while
Still not connected. Yep.
Well, so that token, even though it has that little cursor thing over it, if you double click on it, it highlights it and you can copy and paste it.
Okay. So it didn't connect in using that token, using that access token.
Right.
So I'm still seeing change the channel ID back to C# Fritz. All right. I'm not happy that I'm seeing so much voodoo, undocumented. Channel ID is this, token is that, in different locations here that feels undocumented, and we're kind of going based on what folks are saying in the chat room that have experience, right, working with this. So now my client is connected, still false. So can we contribute to the docs? Oh, I think so. Hey, look, we're connected to Twitch. Oh my gosh, somebody write in the Twitch chat room. Let's see if something pops up. Oh, all right. Invalid URI. The host name could not be parsed. All right, so now I'm at validation. So I'm screen text. All right. So I have a message here. Hello, Twitch. I should look and see who wrote that. It was Rich Rose.
That was me.
So our host name is not formatted correctly. Let me go back to, where was it? App settings. I'm going to throw the HTTPS back in front of this. See if we can get that to work. Tribal knowledge, not the best place to be. Yeah, when we're trying to learn something and we're trying to document it and we want to pass on that information to other folks, hanging in the right video stream or the right Gitter chat room feels hard to transfer that knowledge to other folks. Make it easier, right? Or even locatable on a search engine. So I should see, where is it? We should get down into here when we start getting some messages on. Oh, thanks for the resubscribe. All right, there we go. All right. Invalid URI. Host name could not be parsed. All right, so now we're having an issue passing information over to our message handler. So let's go over to that. So the message handler is message handler over here. This one. All right. So it should be getting, when we say new client, it should be setting that base URL here. I'm going to put a breakpoint there. Let's see what it looks like.
I'm a little behind on what you're following here, so just let me know what you see. Yeah.
So I'm in the message handler looking at where
the Azure base URL, right?
Yeah. Trying to figure out, make sure that it's setting that. All right, we're connected to Twitch. So then it's going to actually instantiate that and do the check here. I feel like I want to put a test method in front of this. Hello. I can't say hello, Twitch, because it's me. It'll come back and say, oh, yeah, that's you.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Go ahead, throw something in there so we can see it at the pop.
There you go.
All right. So base URL. All right, so look at this. It didn't find that Azure Services Cognitive Services URL. Why didn't I find that?
Did I put the key in wrong? Because I think...
Right? It's configuration, Azure Services, Cognitive Services URL. Not there. Cognitive Services URL. Let me look over here. Clear this. Configuration, Azure Services, Cognitive Services URL. Okay. That's interesting. That's even more interesting.
Oh, you got nothing.
Why didn't... Okay. Now I'm angry. If I say startup, no, I can't get to the configuration that's stored over there. Bot service should have configuration on it. So when I return from this, I should be able to reach configuration over here. Okay. Azure Services. Why is that null? Because it's clearly right here, and I mean, there it is, Azure Services, and it should see these too. I mean,
does it see any of them?
Include scopes, log level, default. Wait a sec, that's not it. Where's it pulling these app settings from? Because, right?
Yeah.
That debug is not that one.
Are there user settings?
Stream services?
Apps, yeah, somebody's typing in app settings.development.json.
Okay, so it should be adding both of these. It should be adding app settings and then app settings development. But
well, there's your debug.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's the debug override. Is the JSON copied properly? That's sure looks correct to me. But it's not seeing these segments either when I reach through configuration. But is this one seeing it properly? Right, I mean, it's receiving iConfiguration and stashing. And if I look at configure services over here, when it goes to configure streaming services, right, this is reaching in, and it's just passing the iConfiguration along that was passed into this. Oh, this feels so bad. Can we see the project on GitHub? Yep, the project's on GitHub. You can go take a look at it out there. So if I do that, oops, lowercase. It's not there. Rich, where'd it go? Right? I mean,
yeah, no, I agree. It should be there.
Do you want to continue to be notified? No, I don't want to be notified. Just do it. All right, so provider 6, environment variables, command line configuration, memory, a couple of JSON files. So if I let this step, it should go down into my Twitch service, and I should hit the breakpoint there. Okay. And it has my client ID. So why does this one? Right, and it's the specifically
Configuration.
that. Okay, I'm not getting null coming back, but it's still not
string, yeah.
resolving everything. Clickable Twitch link. Oh, thank you. Most of this code is up there, but why isn't that getting returned from my configuration?
Did something happen when because that all gets set in the where we did all the original configuration and kind of wired everything up, right, with all the singletons and stuff.
Yeah. I grab it here in my configure services, right? Because configuration is just I'm passing it in when it's created, and it's already available for us. Up here, it's being passed into this method, and I'm just passing it down the line.
Mm-hmm.
There, the exact same way that I configure the streaming services up there. So it should be there. If your immediate window shows debug for logging, then the files are getting merged. Right. So it's not showing me that file, that value. If I do it again here, it's still empty. Right, and I should see it again. All right, that feels just weird. All right, we're connected to Twitch. Mm-hmm. I'm at a loss here as to why I would not have that value. It's not there. Azure Services, Cognitive Services URL. Right, and if I say configuration stream services, well, I get null for that one too.
Right.
So there's clearly something not being passed that's being dropped here. Oh, man. That works. All right, let's make sure Azure Services, Cognitive Services URL. Nothing. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? Yeah, right? You aren't kidding. No, I don't want to go through that. If I do client ID. Oh, got to do it with a lowercase d. That works. I'm at a loss. Oh! Oh! I know what the problem is. I know what the problem is.
Okay.
Stand by. I have it, I believe, and I'm going to verify this over here when I look at my secrets. I believe it's empty in my secrets. Yeah, it's empty in my secrets file. Oops.
So it was pulling from the secrets.
It was pulling from the secrets, and it was merging is what I believe was happening. All right, let me bring that back up. which would make complete sense. Try this one more time. Empty, yes. I know. It is appropriately merging and doing all the right things. It's doing too much of that.
It's too smart.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. All right, so now there's creating my Twitch client, my Twitch API to go do all that stuff. So secret, I couldn't even tell myself. I know. So there's an idea for another thing, another simple project to figure out. Now we're connected to Twitch.
Here we go. And I would not be surprised that failed because you did put the HTTPS in there. So
no, I deleted the entry.
Oh, cool.
So let's see. All right, so now base URL is East US API Cognitive. There we go. Screen value and an error occurred. The server name or address could not be resolved. View details. System exception. Win HTTP exception. Yeah. Show me that. Server name or address could not be resolved. Well, what's the address it's trying to go to?
Developers.
Jardiohead, thank you for the follow. Can I say client dot base URL? That looks right. Benedict, thank you for the follow.
Right, but in the base URL, when we originally put it in there,
we didn't have the HTTPS.
Bingo.
All right, so let me go yank that. That was just in application services. So I'll get rid of that. Try again. Come on. Okay. And we should see we're connected to Twitch. All right. We should see it connect and return appropriately when we see a message out there in Twitch.
Oh, somebody needs to do a message.
That is your message. Here comes the client. And hey! All right. So there's my message. Is it offensive? Screen value classification. The classification is null. Look at that. This is going to error out.
Because classification is null.
Yeah. Tell you what, I'm going to take this.
There are some overloads in that screen text.
Put this way over here. Let's open this up and see what comes back. Oh, thanks for hosting, Brent. So there's status. 3,000, okay. So I'm guessing that's just the initial return there. So it didn't actually classify it. It just looked at it and said it's okay.
Yeah, well, so what I'm guessing is it's by default, it should be looking for offensive. So it should have at least come back with that. Does classification dot recommend or review recommended show up with anything?
Classification was null. Check it out.
The whole object was null.
Yeah, classification here is null. Look at that. Thank you for hosting, Twilio.
Is there another overload in that screen text method to put additional values in?
Let's take a look.
I think we need something that basically says
text moderation dot screen text, and then there's languages ENG, text content type text plain, text content I hate you. Autocorrect, no. PII, no. List ID. I don't know what list ID is. Classify. No. There you go. Classify equals false. Yes, please classify that.
Right. List ID is if you get a if you have your own custom list of words to look at.
Okay. All right. So it looks like I need to put the classify flag on this. So let's do that. Classify, true. All right.
Okay. So standby reloading asks in the chat window while that's coming up, does live sharing share the immediate window? So for me, I'm not able to see the immediate window. When you're in debug mode, I've kind of got everything locked out for me on this end. Now, granted, with some of the other issues we're running into, that may be something I'm just seeing here because of the way that I'm kind of running through this experience at this point.
Yeah. What was the question? Oh, the 1,000
Immediate
goal.
window. Sorry.
Oh, there was another question about the 1,000. So when we hit 1,000, yeah, I will basically set up a call in. Let me help you with your problem. Show. So this is a test. All right. So we got the client, and it should actually skip that and not do anything. Ooh, look at that. Is me is false. Is the broadcaster is also false. Oh no, it's like love line for devs. Oh, that's good. Oh look, so offensive, and it didn't have a value there. Interesting. Do that again. Somebody sent another message there. Thank you, Meat Popsicle. At least it skipped me, right? Oh, there you go. Thanks, Rich. I feel better about myself already.
Yeah. Well, only because I know that word is one of the ones that will trip the sensors. So
okay, look at that. Terms count 1. So it doesn't like that. I mean, it saw that word. Review recommended true.
Yep. Terms.
So the scores all came back as null, but it didn't. Right. It's not telling me. Okay, so it's okay. It completed the review, but it's not telling me.
Well, no, that review recommended of true.
Yeah.
Means it found something bad that someone needs to take a look at. So it's not that it's done. It's that it should come back as false most of the time if there's nothing in there. True means I found something. Somebody needs to look at this.
Okay. I
don't get why the scores are null, but
yeah. Let's take another look here. All right, I'm gonna put some carriage returns in here, so we can take a little bit further look. Do we want to look at PII? No. Autocorrect?
No.
Yeah, I would think that this would tell. Right, so Chris is saying you could build a moderation website and further triage at that point.
Right, and that's kind of what the out-of-the-box review page gives you, and you have the hooks to go and build your own review site. So if you had someone who was moderating, in this case, they could hit the button and say, hey, it's cool, let it through.
Okay. All right. So at this point, I mean, yeah, short of dropping the F word in there, or
exactly.
Okay.
I mean, well, I mean, crap isn't going to switch the sensor any difference anymore. It's not going to make it any more review recommended. You've already hit the true on that.
Right.
It still should have.
I would expect it, yeah, to have seen a classification showing offensive.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Those, even if it's not offensive, you still should get numbers back in there with, close to 0, essentially.
Right. Showing that, oh, yeah, I did find something, and it's not. I do not want to be salacious. No. Come on. I want to see it get connected. There we go. I don't think I need that anymore. We're pretty confident in that. We're connected to Twitch now. And I got to admit, the closed captioning still looks kind of funky coming through as I look at some of the things that it writes.
Oh. I didn't turn it on, so now
Oh
I see
no,
what you're
it's okay.
saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's out there. Some of it's pretty good, but if I start using tech terms, it gets a little bit crazy. All right, so we've got it. We've got something that's at least examining every one of these messages that come through.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out how to handle this in the future. Family friendly stream, everyone. Right. So if I'm going to put a break on this so I can step through it. I'm going to write, I hate you. So it's breaking there, is me, false, but is broadcaster true? I'm actually going to step through and let it go on that. So now the classification that came through for saying hate, and specifically I want to look for the word hate. Yeah, it's saying recommending review. Is it going to say recommend review on everything?
It shouldn't. It hasn't when I've run through it. Usually there is some, and they don't get into specifics around what that algorithm is that trips it, but it is some representation of all those three categories that are there and hitting certain numbers.
Fluffy bunny slippers. Okay, and I'm going to tell it to set that as the next statement. So now fluffy bunny slippers. There it is. All right. Oh, we don't need to review that one. So I guess because we don't have a list at this point that has defined here's what we find offensive, it's not flagging things immediately, I guess?
Well, you do get the base set of numbers or a set of words that it will flag against.
Okay.
It is the
7 dirty words.
And then some.
Gotcha.
But those are like, it will check those regardless. If you have your own custom list, and you would typically use that for something like customers, essentially, right? Or competitors or things like that, where you want to make sure that, if you're, don't have, whether it's competition or products or things of that nature. So at least you want to be aware of it to make sure you review the statement that it's going out and what that content is appropriate, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily offensive, but we're not making false claims with the products we have or things of that nature.
So the other thing I wanted to check was I wanted to make sure that this is actually running through quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm going to set up a stopwatch.
Okay.
Just to see how long this takes, right? Stopwatch. No, it's right, system.debug. Diagnostics, that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Stopwatch.start new. And then I just want to echo that to the log. Completed moderating in, and then I want to have the stopwatch elapsed milliseconds. Just so we can see how long it takes to actually run one of these.
Right.
Jeff's like, add Hanselman to my bad word list. No. Would never do that. Or would I? No, kidding. Totally kidding. All right, go ahead, some folks in Twitch. Go ahead, load it up. Let's see how fast we can get this thing to do some moderating. And the thing is, right, my kids were saying to me, you're going to get to a point where you're going to have 100-some people in the chat room or more, and you're not going to be able to moderate and answer people's questions. Okay, now look at that. It took about a half a second to do that moderation. It's in that, 127 milliseconds. So that's still,
What were you looking for?
I'm looking for a little bit faster than I was looking for 2-digit milliseconds. Well, like 50 milliseconds. All right, now that's just offensive.
There you go. That's where custom list comes into play.
That's where custom list comes into play. Okay. Well, I mean, this is good for us to know. I mean, we're somewhere between 100 milliseconds and 200, 300 milliseconds that it's going to take to actually moderate and respond. Okay, who's writing web forms? Chris. I get it. I see where you're going there. All right. So we can tune this a little bit, it feels like, and we'll actually start to get some of that offensive information coming back.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, the rest of it is to, now that we've identified it, drop a message over into the Whisper and those kind of things.
Right. Someplace that moderators can get to it and help to tune and craft that a little bit. I really wanted to get to the Q&A tool today.
Oh yeah, we didn't even
touch that. We were fighting with getting reconnected to Twitch.
Yeah.
Is this considered part of the Cortana suite? No. No, Cortana is the APIs that you would connect something like this up to, and then you would decide whether to surface cards in the user interface, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Look at that, 339 milliseconds to moderate So Siri is fine. That's offensive. So I think,
So we could do, we can come back and do another one on the Q&A bot at some point in the future if you want to do that.
Yeah, I think I do, right? Because we were, let me go over to, right, Q&A bot. Right, where was that? It was
Q&A maker.ai.
Maker.ai, not IA. There it is. So we should be able to bounce messages off of this. Right? I think I already started a service out here. I'll sign in with my username and password. Yes, I have a password. And then I need additional information. Oh, man. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Two-factor authentication. Third-factor authentication, because I need my thumbprint. Yes, yes. Go. I agree. I guess we didn't start this. I have no services. Create a new service.
We did. I remember that.
You know what? It might be on my other account because this is Edge. This is not Edge. This is Firefox. I thought I was logged in here with that. And then, right, we have to create something that's going to fetch this information.
Yeah, exactly. So the Q&A maker is meant to be pretty dead simple to get to this kind of bot created from data you already have. So whether it's an FAQ that's sitting on one of your websites or an FAQ document that you upload, or even if it's worst case, a bunch of questions and answers that you put inside of a spreadsheet that live inside of the maker there.
Right. And I mean, where I'd like to get to, and we were talking about this and we're having a little bit of problem getting it working, is I'd really like it to be able to go from my live stream, and I started futzing with this. I want an FAQ sitting here that I can list. Here's my questions and answers, and I even put it in raw, so they were on separate lines here. And have it just, as I update this thing, rebuild the Q&A maker so it just reloads these, and there it is out there. And we're having a little bit of a problem with this. I feel like I'm going to need to reach out to the product team and get some direction from them. But I think we're at a start here, right? I want to be able to to use, where'd it go? I'm going to use the Q&A maker so that I am bouncing those commands off of the knowledge base, generate an appropriate answer, and then output that instead of response writing it out somewhere else. I want to output that here when somebody asks a question from it. C# FritzBot would handle an FAQ. Absolutely. That's exactly right. In the chat room, Janescu says, yes. So when I do have folks ask questions like, hey, what are you working on? Well, I've already got it generated over there on the FAQ. Hey, what IDE are you using? It's already over there on the FAQ. And unlike Nightbot, where we have the bang commands interaction, be able to just say bang, what IDE are you using, right? Exclamation, and then ask that question. And because we're not doing a regex to match that command name, be able to adjust and respond a little bit more appropriately.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's great about it, and that's why it works. It is a service that they've kind of made available for people to start kicking around that way. So I think it's what you're thinking about on the FAQ side makes sense. I think there's also some hooks in there that as that FAQ changes, you can call out to the API and put those new questions in there, and then be able to do the training as well. Because once the questions get there, you do have to do the retrain the model essentially.
Yeah. So I'm going to change this back to channel here because we saw that the numbers, the 969 number, didn't work, and it was actually working off of the C# Fritz. I'm going to commit this into source control so we can come back to this. So cool. This is the feature bot branch, and you'll see a couple new full updates there. Got basic moderation working. So it's not even basic moderation at this point. It's just logging the information.
Right.
So I'm going to push that up so we can tinker around with that and work with it some more. Now I have a couple more looking at what I have ahead on the schedule, because I think we definitely want to come back to this and push it around a little bit. So I've got Oren coming up here on... I've actually updated this. I've got Oren coming up here on Thursday, and we're going to talk about getting continuous integration working with this project, because it's not building and deploying the way I want it to, right? I want to get it built, and I want to get it to inject into my private registry. And I was having a lot of problem with that, and I want to make sure that that's working properly. So Oren's going to help us out with that on Thursday. So I think
awesome.
On Saturday I'll come back and I'll push around with the Q&A maker a little bit here and see if I can get that. I'll create a couple Q&A questions there. I'm going to bounce some questions off the team, make sure I have my web page formatted properly for it to read from. And then I should be able to just check on message received and do something very similar here, that if it's looking at a question coming in, to appropriately answer it and write that message back out that it gets from the Q&A maker. So I'll go after that, and then maybe we have you back, Rich, in a week or two here, and we'll go back at the moderator a little bit more after that.
That'd be cool. And I tend to check in on the Saturday ones. I'll probably be lurking on there as you do the Q&A, so that'd be awesome.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. And this is the thing with development, right? You're going to figure out, hey, stuff's not completely documented, or I didn't understand the documentation the right way, and we've got to tinker and figure out and fix what we need to. Now, I've taken some notes here on some of the issues we had with LiveShare. I've also taken some notes around what we had to do as far as getting that token from Twitch. That was interesting. We need to make sure that we get that feedback out there to some of the folks at Twitch, because it's really not clear from their documentation or from the Twitch lib folks how to generate that token and get it into the system here. So I want to make sure that those folks hear about, those recommendations. I'm going to take a snapshot. I'm going to archive this video. You'll see it out on YouTube a little bit later today. Thanks so much for helping me today, Rich. This was really interesting, and I'm very excited to get this working also with Mixer, once we figure out how to get Mixer hooked up and listen to the messages received over there and push that stuff back through Cognitive Services.
Yep, definitely. Thanks for having me on. It was awesome.
Cool. All right, we'll catch everybody else next time. That'll be on Thursday with my guest, Oren Novotny. We'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.